Hello there and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Michelle Ferré and I am a 4th grade teacher in Maryland. Obviously, a lot of states and districts are opting for at least part-time virtual instruction to start this school year, so it is more important than ever to establish and maintain a classroom community. Obviously, after everything that happened this spring, students really need a sense of normalcy. And because things are going to be so different this year, we need to make sure students have a space where they feel safe and respected, even if that space is virtual. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 ways you can establish and maintain a classroom community, even online. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. Number 1 is to create a class community agreement. This is essentially a list of things that everyone in the class is going to follow, and it should be using the word we a lot. For example, we will make mistakes and learn from them. We will respect different opinions. We will value each other's differences. Now, this class community agreement should be developed together as a class. That's why it's called a class community agreement, not a teacher community agreement. I recommend if you are teaching online, open up like a Google Doc and share your screen. And as students share their ideas, just record it in the Google Doc. It doesn't have to be anything cute or fancy. Just get their ideas down. Once you've compiled all of the ideas, decide on the ones that are most important to you as a class, and then you could create like a digital poster or a slide and save it as an image, which you could then put on your class website or on your LMS or learner management system. Better yet, have your students create the poster, create the slides, have them be as involved in the process as possible, and make sure that wherever you display it, it's somewhere where your students can reference it often, because this should be the core of your classroom community. Number 2 is to hold virtual morning meetings. Obviously, if you are teaching online, you would do this through some sort of video conferencing app like Zoom or Google Meet, and it should last anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. Just like in the classroom, your morning meeting should have 3 main parts. First of all, a greeting. Typically in the classroom, your students would be moving around actually greeting each other, but there's plenty of virtual greetings you can do, like virtual high fives, virtual fist bumps. Have your students play a role in this and come up with their own ideas too. Next, you want to give students an opportunity to share. Obviously, ask about their favorite things, get to know them, and allow them to get to know other students, but also open up the space for them to be able to share their feelings and opinions with what's going on, because right now we all have a lot of feelings and students are included in that. So pose a different question or have a different theme for each day of the week, but make sure you give time and space for students to be able to share what's on their mind. And then end with some kind of game or activity just to start the day off on a great foot. This could be a virtual scavenger hunt where you tell them to go find an item, they run away from their camera, find it, and bring it back. You could also do virtual Pictionary, where either you or a student is drawing a picture, maybe on paper or a whiteboard, holding it up to the screen for other students to guess, or you could even share your screen and draw it digitally on a virtual whiteboard like Xiteboard or Google Jamboard. You can also do a mystery item where you put something in a bag and students will ask like 20 questions in order to figure out what it is. They have to be yes or no questions. After they've asked 20 questions, they try to guess what the mystery item in the bag is. The next one is an oldie but a goodie. Number 3 is get to know you games. Look, we all know get to know you games or icebreakers can be very cheesy or very awkward, so you have to know your students and what would interest them or what they would or would not feel comfortable with. I actually made an entire video on like get to know you games and just first week of school activities last year, and I went through that video and made a list of the different things I recommended and just thought about ways that they could be made virtual. So I will link that video in the description if you want to go back and watch it, but I am going to share how you can adapt those different games to be able to be played online. The first one is called Index Card Towers. Students work in small groups and they find things they all have in common and write them on index cards, and then they use the index cards to try to build the tallest tower. Obviously, they cannot do that online, but you could have students work in a breakout like Google Meet or Zoom, and they would be in small groups. They would have to come up with things they have in common, and they could use Google Jamboard in order to record their ideas on virtual sticky notes. Obviously, they can't use those sticky notes to build a tower, but you could have them try to create a picture with all of the sticky notes, and whichever team has the best picture is the winner, or don't even have a picture, just have them share. Regardless, it's just a way for students to start connecting and find things that they have in common. The next one is called This or That, which is basically Would You Rather. When I play this in the classroom, I have students move to either one side of the room or the other. But playing this virtually, you could actually have students just move to one side of the screen like this or the other side of the screen like this. It would still get them moving, but obviously they're doing so online. To help make this easier, you could even create a slideshow and share your screen. That way students would clearly see which side of the screen they needed to move to for which item. I also shared a game called Switch Sides If, which is very similar. Students would switch sides of the room if the statement applied to them, such as, I have a brother or I have a sister. They would switch sides if that was true. You can still play this online. You would read the statement and students would just flip-flop the sides of their screen. So they wouldn't always be on the same side, but they could see who was moving from one side to the other, and that means that statement applies to them. The next one is Two Truths and a Lie. Now, I know some people like this and some people don't. Personally, when I show my students how to do it the right way, it's always a lot of fun. But I do know students are sometimes scared to read aloud their truths and their lie. So you could have students submit their truths and their lie ahead of time on Google Forms. Then you could have a class meeting where you would read them and the students would try to decide which one was a truth and which one was a lie. You could even have them hold up their fingers like, I think number 1 is the lie, or number 2, or number 3. That way everyone's involved in the process. One of the last get to know you activities I had shared in that previous video was dot surveys. Students would have colored stickers. They'd walk around the room and vote on different pieces of paper by placing their sticker on the one they want to vote for. So the virtual version of this would be to have students complete a poll through a website like QUIZIZZ. I love QUIZIZZ because you can actually send the link out ahead of time and have students complete it at their leisure, or you could have students do it live during a video meeting. But again, students would be able to submit their thoughts anonymously, and you could then share the results as a class and see what you all have in common. Number 4 is read alouds. I know you all use this in the classroom and you can still use it online. There are so many great books that help to build classroom community. Some of my current favorites are Our Class is a Family by Shannon Olson. She actually is a teacher and recently published this book, and it is fantastic. I also love The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson. She is one of my favorite authors, and I love The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig. Today's book is called Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun. Now you can read these aloud during your morning meeting, you can work it into your first week of school lesson plans, be creative with it, but I guarantee you your students really miss hearing you read aloud in the classroom, and even though a virtual read aloud isn't quite as good, it can still be very comforting for students just to hear you read a book. But make sure you provide opportunities to have discussions about the book afterward. This could be as an entire class, or you could do breakout sessions on Zoom or Google Meet to allow students to discuss in small groups. Number 5 is virtual lunch bunches. This is a personal favorite of mine. I did it a lot in the spring and I loved it. Basically, you're just eating lunch with a student or group of students through a video conference. So everyone is sitting in front of their phone or tablet or computer, eating lunch and just chit-chatting with each other. Again, you can do this as an entire class. It will probably be very overwhelming, but you could do it, or you can break your students into small groups. This is a fantastic way to start fostering relationships between students where you notice they might have something in common, or maybe a student is kind of struggling to make connections with their classmates. Bring them on for a virtual lunch bunch and it will give them that opportunity to get to know other students. When I did virtual lunch bunches with my students in the spring, I would typically post the link on Google Classroom, but I would also email the link to parents just in case so they had it in both places. You also could offer a virtual lunch bunch to any students who want to join you. That way, if a student is feeling kind of lonely and needs social interaction, they can jump on to the virtual lunch bunch. But if the student's feeling kind of overwhelmed from virtual school all morning and they don't want to be around people, they don't have to join. But I will say, have some conversation starters ready because it can get a little bit awkward if nobody's talking just speaking from experience. Number 6 is Fun Fridays. What I love about Fun Fridays is that it creates anticipation throughout the week and it gives students something to really look forward to, and it kind of starts to build a routine, which I think we're all missing at this point. You could do Fun Fridays in the morning on Fridays or in the afternoon, middle of the day. You know you and your students best, but basically it's just a time to do some kind of a fun activity together as a class. You could play your students' favorite morning meeting game like the scavenger hunt or the Pictionary or the mystery item. You could do a directed drawing. You could do a read aloud. You can do virtual dance parties. Who doesn't love a good dance party? You could do a Kahoot or a QUIZIZZ with your students if they really like that. You even can have different theme days like wear neon colors or dress up like your favorite book character. You know your students best, so make sure you do something that you know they will love. Number 7 is virtual student shoutouts. Student shoutouts are a great way for students to feel appreciated and recognized, especially right now when we all feel kind of isolated. You can create a Google form where students can go on and submit their student shoutouts, and then you can share them either at your Fun Friday during a virtual morning meeting, and it's just a great way to kind of foster those student relationships and have them feel appreciated. I also think it's helpful if you display the student shoutouts afterward because it just adds to that recognition. You could display them on your LMS, or you could display them on a class website, or even email it out to parents. Number 8 is opportunities for student collaboration. I know it's hard because our worlds have been turned upside down and now suddenly we're restructuring our instruction to be online and virtual. However, do not forget to give students opportunities to work together in small groups or partners. And this doesn't have to be hard. You can have students collaborate together on a Google Doc or a set of Google Slides. You can have them in breakout rooms on Zoom or Google Meet where they're only in a Google Meet or a Zoom with another small group of students. You can have them work together to create presentations or videos or digital posters. Have them complete a digital escape room. Just make sure you are giving ample opportunities for students to work with other students. Number 9 is to complete collaborative class projects. This is kind of similar to the previous one, but in addition to having students work in partners or small groups, you also want them to work together as an entire class. You can either work together as an entire class on Google Meet or Zoom, or you can give each student a particular responsibility and then put it all together at the end. You could have your students work together to write a book. Every student could write and illustrate one page, or you could have them work together to create a video. It doesn't matter what the project is, as long as they have opportunities to come together and create something new as a class. And make sure you share it out afterward. Post it on your LMS or your class website, email it out to parents, share it with your school. Have students be able to see that their work is being recognized outside of just their classroom. And finally, number 10 is class check-ins. A class check-in is basically a way for students to share their honest thoughts or feelings, let you know if they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or not challenged enough, or maybe they're too challenged with what they're learning. It's a way to be able to gauge how students are feeling. This could be as simple as a Google form that maybe students complete once a week, and you don't have to share the results with the class. It's more so for you as the teacher, so you can identify how students are feeling and then maybe address that in your future morning meetings. If you know your students are feeling super overwhelmed, talk about it in a morning meeting because students might open up a little bit more once other students start talking. Knowing how your students are feeling both individually and collectively as a group is going to help you be able to strengthen that classroom community. All right, those are my 10 ideas for establishing and maintaining classroom community. If this video was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with your teacher friends who might also be teaching online. I hope this helped to inspire you and helped you realize that it doesn't have to be anything complicated. But if you have other ideas of how you are going to build and maintain that classroom community online, I would love to hear them down in the comments. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you do not miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. I love you all so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.